Hey everybody, it's Matt coming to you again from Spur, Texas, here at the international headquarters for Broke Rednecks. What we're doing a video on today is something that one of our viewers asked us about, and it's what are the best guns for self-defense? And that is a long list and we could do hours of video, so I decided to narrow it down a little bit. But before I get started on that, what I wanted to have you all consider here is, are you using the gun for home defense or concealed carry, or are you keeping it in the car? Those are the considerations you have to think about when figuring out what's best for home defense. Also, you have to factor in where you live. If you live in an apartment, you probably don't want to be using something like a 223 that's got a really hot bullet that can punch through things. You don't want to use your deer rifle. No sense having a bullet, whether you hit the person you're trying to hit or not, go through two walls and hit the neighbor down the road. That causes problems. You also want to factor in what you're going to be defending yourself from. Is it truly a home defense against burglars, or are you literally trying to defend yourself against people? Or do you, like us, live out in the country and you're worried about things like snakes or coyotes or whatever? These are some things you need to factor in, and I can't really do a video on all of them individually, but ask yourself some of these questions. Anyway, I have, as you can see, some handguns up here. And before anybody asks me, no, I am not going to do a video differentiating special guns for the ladies. And the reason for that is because, first and foremost, the best self-defense gun is the one you're comfortable with. Now, for the purposes of that, I'm going to pick up the Smith & Wesson SD40. Now, I picked that because that's what Travis carries when he concealed carries. Some of you guys have seen other videos with Haley in them. She carries literally the same gun. I mean, there's probably a 100-pound weight difference between the two, or close to it. But she is perfectly comfortable with this .40 caliber handgun. She is accurate with it. She can conceal it effectively. Travis can too. Now, I don't see a point in being, well, she's a girl and not that big. Let's go out and get her, I don't know, cricket or something. An itty-bitty gun, a Derringer. If she's comfortable with a .40 cal, it will work for what she needs it for. Why do we need to go smaller? Something to factor in with smaller guns is if you have a small, say 9mm, and a large 9mm, the small 9mm is going to have more recoil. So for a newer shooter, that may actually scare them away. So find the gun that you are most comfortable with. Also, on the girl gun question, my 72-year-old mother carries this. It's a Smith & Wesson 357. It's big, heavy, and bulky in my hands. She keeps it loaded with 357 hollow points. It's got some Packmeyer grips. She's customized it, but literally, I pity the guy that breaks into her house because she will shoot him back out the window or something. But she's comfortable with it. She's accurate with it, so if that's what she's happy with, good. Now, she lives in a house out in the country, so that 357 isn't going to punch through a lot of walls. But it could. I also have, if you're budget conscious, a couple ideas here. This is the Ruger P89. It's also Travis's, one I got him when he was 16. Now, it's kind of big and bulky. This is not something you'd want to conceal carry. But it is a good solid gun that was great for a new shooter. Recoil was a factor with him when he was first starting to shoot these things. He had shot some Glocks, but that's really all he'd shot. So if we tried something else, it seemed like it was kind of hopping on him. So until we could get breathing and trigger discipline down, I got him this thing. He uses it to this day, works like a charm. Now, some considerations when coming up with a self-defense weapon. And you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, well, you need this model or you need that model. What you need is something that's going to be functional. I personally carry Glock 22 .40 cal. I carry that because I carried it as a police officer. I carried it in private security. Could I find a gun with better grips or the glow-in-the-dark sights? Yeah, probably. But they run between $400 and $500 at a gun store or pawn shop. But the thing is, I have used this so much it's an extension of my hand. I don't have to close one eye and aim. I can literally point it and hit with a reasonable degree of accuracy what I'm aiming at. And that is worth a lot. Now, I keep hollow points in it, so the bullets will hurt somebody if they're not going to punch through wall after wall after wall like a slug will. But remember, especially for some of you guys that don't have a lot of experience shooting, you need to get a gun you can afford to shoot. Put some ammo into, put some rounds down range. You also need to think about things like grips, sights. It's easy when you go to the range. You always hear us talking about safety glasses or hearing protection. If you're trying to defend your house, you're not going to be putting on your earmuffs to see who's coming through the door. You're going to need to grab something that you know you've got a good grip on. It's not going to be like at the range where you've got your shooting gloves and everything else. It's actually why I bought this Smith & Wesson M&P M2, Model 2. I got it because it's got good rough grips. Same thing with the Smith & Wesson SD. It's actually got interchangeable grips. I bought that. It fits my hand perfectly. It's also, unlike a lot of the other guns you've seen here, has a safety. This is a big consideration if you've got kids around the house. Now, I got this gun because it had a good grip on it. I wanted something to carry that wasn't a 40 cal. So I got it in 9mm. It's a longer barrel. Probably not the gun a lot of people would want to conceal. It's got a 5-inch barrel. But you know what? It fits naturally. I can grip it. Because in a self-defense situation, you're not going to be in a well-lit room like this. You're not going to be on a range. It's going to be raining. It's going to be dark. If you hear somebody breaking through a window in your house at 2 in the morning, you're probably not going to want to turn on all the lights and tell them where you are. If you're going to use a flashlight or something like that, you need something you can get a grip on in the dark. You need something that you can move comfortably with. You want something that's fairly small. If you're going to actually clear your house, you want something you can kind of peer around corners with or whatever you can tuck in, something along those lines. And this is a good gun, a very good gun for that. Now, all of these guns have one very important thing in common. And I'm going to get a lot of comments on this from all the professional shooting instructors, so let it begin. I don't believe that a person should own a gun for self-defense, if it's a handgun, that they cannot shoot one-handed. That's with any of these. This SD, I can pick it up comfortably, aiming sideways or aiming forward. I can comfortably point this weapon one-handed and shoot. Yes, I know we have all been taught the side-by-side or the Weaver stance. We grip it with both hands and, you know, look like soldiers out there. That's great. It is wonderful when you're punching holes in paper. But from a practical standpoint, and think about this, if it's self-defense and you're out carrying on the street somewhere and for some reason have a reason to draw your weapon, there's a very good chance you're not necessarily going to shoot anybody. After all, we don't just draw this thing to kill people. Sometimes we're drawing it to scare them away. Well, if you're trying to back off and get into your car door, you can't do that and hold the gun with both hands. As it applies to me, I have an 80-pound pit bull. And if somebody breaks into my house intent on doing me harm, there is literally a 100% chance that Dobby is over there trying to get petted. So I need to be able to grab a dog collar and aim. We're out in the country too. Dobby will see a pack of coyotes and think they want to play with them. So if we're trying to run them off or get them away from the chickens, we've got to hold an 80-pound dog collar, which means I need a gun that I can effectively aim and keep on target, but also shoot one-handed. Again, let the comment section go. If you guys have children in the house or something like that, there's plenty of break-ins where 2 or 3 or 4 assailants are coming in. You might have to grab your kids. Most burglaries, I think it's like 80%, happen at night. Chances are kids are asleep. You may be grabbing kids to go to a separate room. Guys, you read about this sort of thing in the papers all the time. A mom calling the cops because she's in the bathroom with 3 kids while people are breaking in. If she's going to carry a gun, she needs one because chances are she's going to have to pick up at least one of those kids. Guys, the same way. If we're out messing around on the farm and we have a 4-year-old with us and we see something that's a problem, rabid animals often are, we need to be able to pick him up and aim. So file that away. It's something to think about. Yes, I know the shooting instructors are going to be teeing off, but whatever, I don't care. But those are some considerations to have. If you're going to carry concealed, you probably want it thinner, something you can tuck in a little easier. This is where it is a little different with women and men, different wardrobe considerations. Something to think about, but it's too broad a subject. I would suggest go to a gun store, talk to some professionals. Hey, where's a good place to conceal it? How do you hide it? Read up on it a little bit and see what works. Now, the question was about what handguns I consider the best for self-defense. But if you're a new shooter or somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience with guns, and you are strictly looking for home defense or kind of maybe around a farm like we are, I actually recommend the old tried and true pump shotgun. Now, you're not going to clear corners with a pump shotgun. We're not a SWAT team here. This is one of those strictly, you're waiting, if it's a burglar, you're waiting in your room until the cops get here to clear your house for you. But in every country on the face of the earth, and trust me, I'm familiar with a few languages, that means get out my house. I've checked. Now, across the house, people know what that sound is. And they, chances are, will not come through. If they do come through, you're not going to have to kill anybody. They've committed suicide. Also, the shotgun has a wider variety of ammunitions you can put in it. You can put in a slug or buckshot if you, I don't know, want to cut something in half at 30 feet. But you can also put duck or bird shot in, which are smaller itty-bitty pellets. The cool thing about that is this is the perfect snake gun, because you can shoot a snake in the head and it will literally vaporize it. Now, a lot of people are like, why do you have to vaporize it? Well, in Texas, 74% of the people who are bit by rattlesnakes are bit by rattlesnakes they thought were dead. They shoot it and then go over to cut the rattles off and they get bit. But also from a practical standpoint, if you have dogs, golden retriever, Brittany, labs, whatever, chances are if you shoot something, there's about a 50-50 shot that dog is going to try to go retrieve it for you. If the snake's not all the way dead, well, something you need to think about. Also, it gives you a wider margin of error. If you're a new shooter and somebody's coming through the door, you don't have to hollow out a quarter to take them down. Any type of ammunition you put in that shotgun will literally send them back out the door. It's not pretty, but we're not here to be pretty. Anyway, these are just a few ideas of some self-defense weapons. I know some of y'all will have comments, and frankly, I'd like to do a longer, maybe more in-depth video, but we need some more in-depth questions. So if you have some questions about specific models, we'd love to do a video on it. Or if you want to see us practice with some of these and show you what we consider when it comes to self-defense, feel free and ask, feel free to comment. Anyway, guys, I hope you like and subscribe. That really helps us out a lot, and thanks for watching.